We're here with John Benoit, County Supervisor for Riverside County. John, can you tell me what's the importance of events like this Energy Summit?
Well, this Energy Summit is being held here in our desert primarily because we are probably the largest location for future growth of solar and other renewable energy in the western United States. With our large expanses of open desert, nearly year-round sunshine, close proximity to the demand of Los Angeles and other areas, it's a clear front runner for trying to help meet the goals set by the state of renewable energy as a major component of our energy grid.
No, my understanding today you're talking about the Salton Sea area as a potential area for growth. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Obviously, people know that we're going to have a lot of solar. We have wind. We have other projects in the general area. But few people are really aware of what a huge potential there is for renewable energies out of the Salton Sea. The Salton Sea in and of itself is a serious problem. We have to deal with the fact that water resources are declining every year. And if we don't do something, it'll dry out. And when it dries out, there's going to be a horrible economic consequence because of the silts that'll be exposed and the airborne contaminants that'll result. So we've got a whole large area to kind of cover with hopefully positive things. And one of the real positive signs is how much that could be used for renewable energy projects. If you have a solar field in that area that remains after we perhaps divide the sea and have a smaller body that we can have enough water to maintain, the part that's left exposed will be a great place for solar. It'll also expose about 70% of the most economically viable geothermal field in the western United States, which is currently mostly underwater. So between that and potential biofuels that will be grown in the sea and mining of other precious metals that are in the seabed or seawater, there's a lot of potential for economic development there. That is needed to blend with a public-private partnership to fund the fixes for the sea. So we're, as a member of the Salton Sea Authority Board and a county supervisor with responsibility for the northern third of the sea in my district, all of these things present huge challenges and some exciting opportunities.
What are some of the challenges and issues you have to overcome to move that forward?
Well, first of all, just getting the funding up front to create a barrier and change the sea so that you can expose the lower piece so that you can use it for the solar, for the geothermal and other renewable projects. That's a huge step. We think that there's enough potential there in the public-private partnership arena around the world. Some investors would be very interested in helping make that happen, and obviously there'd be a profit in it in the long run for those investors. Another huge challenge is transmission. While we can produce a lot of renewable energy at the south end of the Salton Sea, the existing transmission would be insufficient to take full advantage of that. So we have that hurdle to overcome. These things are doable. It's going to take some time and it's going to take focus, and the big focus right now is getting the state to allow us to take local control of that whole process. The state has basically taken control 10 years ago, created a committee that never met and said until that committee authorizes spending, it won't happen. Well, the committee hasn't met, makes it a little tough. The governor did away with that committee completely. But the legislation to delegate some of that authority to work cooperatively with the Department of Resources did not pass in the legislative cycle and died in the last days of the last session. I've been in direct communications with the Secretary of Resources, a colleague of mine from my days in the State Assembly, John Laird, a good man. We hope to work closely with the Resource Agency and the Salton Sea Authority to constitute a body that will be able to accept that kind of responsibility and role and move forward. We need the state's cooperation to make this happen.
In your opinion, do you think Riverside County really holds the potential to be one of the state's biggest energy sources?
Absolutely. I mean, the federal government has designated a solar development area, and we're the largest there is in that area. We've got tens of thousands of acres already in planning stages for solar projects. There's a very potential that both sides of Interstate 10 for many, many miles, you'll hardly be able to see a spot where there isn't somebody producing energy from solar power and a variety of different technologies. All this is in our future without a doubt. We got to make sure that it's managed properly, that we get some local return for that effort, and that we can do all that and still share our beautiful desert in an appropriate fashion.
Well, John, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.